Ladies and gentlemen, this is Lions Den with another news and commentary. I know you guys are waiting for me to talk about this. As you may know, they waited 6 years to tell us this bullshit, right? So, as you know, Darren Wilson, the police officer that was responsible of killing Mike Brown, um, and the prosecutor in this case now said they won't charge this man. And before I read this article from the St. Louis Post Dispatch, I want to let you guys know that, first of all, they haven't even indicted this man for the murder of Mike Brown. They waited 6 years, and it happened in 2014. So they waited 6 years to even tell us this bullshit? Are you serious? So let me go ahead and read this article. Again, this comes from the St. Louis County Prosecutor um the St. Louis Post Dispatcher. I'm sorry, guys. It's one of those days. But it says the St. Louis County prosecutor reopened Michael Brown's shooting case, but won't charge Darren Wilson. St. Louis County prosecutor Wesley Bell on Thursday finally answered the question that has followed him since his political campaign. Will he charge a former Ferguson police officer in the 2014 shooting death of 18-year-old Michael Brown? And he answered no. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, this prosecutor is a black prosecutor, black male prosecutor. And you don't want to charge, um, you don't really don't want to charge Darren Wilson for the murder of an 18-year-old man. Are you serious, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, this is just blows my mind with this, right? And then Darren was like, "Well, I feared for my life. He was charging me," which that was a lie. And he's gonna come out. He's gonna try to grab my gun. That's also a lie. And he stole cigarillas at that convenience store. That's also another lie. So after all of this, and again, they not indicted Darren Wilson. They decided not to even prosecute this man. Even the feds, and remember, we thought that the feds will probably have federal civil rights charges against Darren Wilson. That didn't happen. So this is why I say they waited 6 years to say they found this man not guilty of the shooting death of Michael Brown. They've been waiting 6 years for this bullshit? Really? Let me go ahead and continue this article, guys. It says, "This is one of the most difficult things I've had to do as an elected official." I bet you, it is most difficult. Bell said at a news conference Thursday, although this case represents one of the most significant moments in St. Louis history, the question to this office is a simple one. Could we prove beyond a reasonable doubt that when Darren Wilson shot Michael Brown, he committed murder or manslaughter under Missouri law? In an independent and in-depth review of the evidence, we cannot prove that he did. Yeah, okay. The significance of this case and request from Michael Brown's family prompted Bell's office to quietly reopen an investigation about 5 months ago, but the office did not have enough evidence to disprove the self-defense claim. You know what? I'm. This is bullshit, because witnesses saw what happened between Darren Wilson and Michael Brown. Now, they said that Michael Brown didn't even charge Darren Wilson. And as I recall, Mike Brown got shot in the back. So if Darren Wilson is feared for his life, why did he shot Mike Brown in the back? Wow. I just couldn't believe this shit. So let me continue this article. They say his comments first appeared, excuse me, in an exclusive interview with Post Dispatch Metro columnist Tony Messenger. Wilson, a white officer, shot and killed Brown on August 9, 2014, in the middle of the street inside the busy Canfield Green apartment complex. Police left the black teenager's body in the street for more than 4 hours, igniting outrage across the country and day after day of angry, sometimes violent protests in Ferguson. The 2014 shooting prompted months of protests here and across the country. Bell's announcement comes amid an ongoing coronavirus pandemic and waning protests over the May death of George Floyd in Minneapolis police custody. It also comes 1 week before the 6-year anniversary of Brown's death and a few days before major primary elections in St. Louis County and elsewhere. The timing of Thursday's announcement was tied only to concluding, get this guys, only to concluding the investigation and quickly informing Brown's family of the decision. So in other words, they know they don't want to. They're not going to do anything with Darren Wilson, but they're going to tell the Brown family, well, we did what we did. We did what we have to do, but that's not enough proof that Darren Wilson committed murder or committed manslaughter. Darren Wilson just shot an unarmed black man. I mean, he claimed that he came to him, but yet he shot this man in the back. So, if I'm not mistaken, if you shot this man in the back, doesn't he supposed to run away? Doesn't he run away from you? Because if he charged you, I'm just saying hypothetically, if a person charged a police officer or going towards the police officer, he just got shot in the chest. But according to some ballistics, according to the autopsy, Michael Brown got shot in the back. So in other words, Mike Brown ran from Darren Wilson, not coming towards him. So this situation, in my opinion, was bullshit from the beginning, because again, you got a person, Darren Wilson, and again at that time they did not remember the state refused to indict Darren Wilson. He was first of all, after the shooting happened, he was in hiding. Nobody knew where Darren Wilson was. Okay, nobody knew where he was. And then the state refused to even indict Darren Wilson in the shooting death of Michael Brown. And then they reported that, well, he was a strong arm robbery. He stole cigarillos at a convenience store, which, by the way, as I recall, that the store, one of the store people that work at the store, gave Michael Brown the cigarillos, but then they say they reported stolen. Okay, then Darren Wilson's version story was, he charged at me. He tried to grab my gun, so I had no choice but to. I feared for my life. I have no choice but to shoot him and kill him. But as I recall, he didn't charge Darren Wilson. He ran away from Darren Wilson. Witnesses saw Mike Brown ran away from Darren Wilson, and Darren Wilson shot this brother in the back, killing him. Anyway, let's move on with this article. There is so many points in which Darren Wilson could have handled the situation differently, and if he had, Michael Brown might still be alive. He said Thursday, but that is not the question before us. Bell's predecessor, Robert McCullough, reviewed the evidence in the shooting and convened a grand jury. The jury ultimately declined to indict Wilson, reuniting widespread protests. Bell's stunning win in the 2018 Democratic primary for St. Louis County prosecutor was among the biggest changes in the aftermath of Brown's death. Critics of McCullough consistently said they did not trust the grand jury process under him. Last year, on the 5-year anniversary of Brown's death, Brown's family demanded Bell's office reinvestigate the killing that rocked St. Louis and launched national conversations about race and policing. Until Thursday, Bell had dodged questions about whether his office would reopen the case. Just a few people in Bell's office were aware the investigation had been reopened. Bell said in an effort to protect it and shield it from outside influence, Bell said, "We didn't want to create a circus if we announced that we were looking at it," he said. Well, I'm gonna stop you right there. Well, you knew this is gonna happen. He said we don't want to create a circus, but the circus already been done. When you refused to indict Darren Wilson, you knew this is going to happen. You knew there's going to be protests around St. Louis County, especially in Ferguson. You knew there were going to be riots and all that's coming out at Ferguson. And by the way, during that time, that when the protests and the riots happen, you got police officers wear military gear and then wear the military outfits in Ferguson. But hey, it is what it is, right? And yet he said they don't want to create a circus. Okay. Bell said the investigation concluded a few weeks ago and he met with Brown's parents, Michael Brown Sr. and Leslie McSpadden, on Thursday before the public announcement. "I know this is not the results that they were looking for and that their pain will continue forever," he said. Bell's investigators have no contact with Wilson or his attorneys through the investigation, which was led by lawyer Dana Mahalser, a former U.S. Department of Justice that trial attorney hired last year as chief of the Office Conviction and Incident Review Unit. Bell said Thursday his office has no plan to publicly release a report detailing conclusions of the investigation. Why is that? Why are they not released it to the public on why why they decided not to even go after Darren Wilson? Why? That is $100 million question. Why haven't they released this report? This is ridiculous, fam. This is ridiculous. Seriously. It says Wilson resigned from the police department in November 2014. Don't matter because he's going to go to another precinct anyway. A few months later, the Justice Department concluded Wilson was justifiably afraid of Brown. Get this, justifiably afraid of Brown and could not be prosecuted federally. So, in other words, he feared for his life. He claimed that Michael Brown, which it didn't happen, came and charged towards him, which, by the way, he was running from him. Now, put it like this. If a police officer, if Michael Brown charging Darren Wilson, a police officer, he would have been shot in the chest or in the stomach, right? If he was charged towards him. According to the autopsy report, according to the autopsy report, he was shot in the back, which means that he ran away from Darren Wilson. Not coming towards him. He ran away from him. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to use this lie and say, well, I feared for my life. I didn't have a choice but to shoot him. And then they talk about he did a strong arm robbery, and then he also claiming that he stole cigarillos, which that's not the case because the guy that worked at that convenience store knows Mike Brown personally. In fact, I think they were good friends. And so he gave the cigarillos to Mike Brown, but since it was a little bit late, he told him come back and pick the cigarillos up. And then, when he came back, he was with a different owner at the time. So all of this, they try to lie about everything about the incident and try to cover things up. And now they refuse to even charge Darren Wilson at all, which means that he's free as a bird. I mean, he's out. Like, it's like what George Zimmerman is doing. George Zimmerman's free as a bird. Now you got Darren Wilson, the cop that was responsible of killing Michael Brown. He's free as a bird. Wow. Wow. Let me finish this article, folks, family. It says a few months later, the Justice Department concluded Wilson was justifiably afraid of Brown and could not be prosecuted federally, which is not a surprise with the feds. The Justice Department also said in one linked report that Ferguson unfairly targeted bolstered its budgets on the backs of impoverished minorities. Bell shared a list Thursday of changes his office has made since he took charge in January 2019 in response to issues raised in the Ferguson movement. He pointed to a new independent unit tasked with investigating police use of force and exoneration, new victim support practices, and diversion programs for low-level crimes. Bell also announced Thursday that all homicide grand jury proceedings will be recorded once they resume after current pandemic delays. I don't know how this region is ever going to heal fully from the significance of this case, Bell said, but I believe it is time to try to move on. Toward the end of Bell's announcement Thursday, activist Tory Russell, 36, wearing a t-shirt that said, Wesley Bell doesn't care about black people, berated Bell for the decision, calling his office corrupt for hiring dirty cops and telling him he wouldn't get reelected. We got Bob McCullough out only to replace him with the black Bob McCullough, Russell, who was black, said in an interview after the announcement. He just dresses nicer. He's black. That's it. That's what we got. That's all it is injustice. All it is injustice dressed up in blackface. In a joint statement late Thursday, more than a dozen area social justice and civil rights groups, including Forward Through Ferguson, Arch City Defenders, and Metropolitan Congregation United, said Bell's decision are early painful memories and reopen still unhealed wounds. Today, our hearts goes out to the family of Michael Brown Jr., the statement reads. We stand in solidarity with Leslie McSpadden and Michael Brown Sr., who are just days away from 6 years without their beloved child. We hope that they will be enveloped by a community of love and support to face yet another moment of heartbreak and disappointment. A few dozen activists and Ferguson residents gathered Thursday night at the same apartment complex where Brown was killed. A small memorial was built to commemorate Brown, including a teddy bear surrounded by roses. About 30 demonstrators that then went to Ferguson Market and Liquor, where Brown shoved a store clerk prior to his fatal interactions with Wilson. The store has been the scene of several protests in the years since Brown's death. As protesters said, the store's surveillance video mischaracterized Brown, and the store should have done more to say so. Demonstrators on Thursday called for a boycott of the store, and as will-be customers approached, protesters told them the store was closed. Brown's mother could not be reached for comment. Brown Sr., the father of the younger Brown, came to the market and spoke with protesters late Thursday. He declined to comment with Post Dispatcher. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this article. So, ladies and gentlemen, we already know that, and this is really not a surprise, what's happening. They waited 6 years to say that Darren Wilson will not be charged or Darren Wilson is found not guilty of the murder of Michael Brown Jr. They waited 6 years, and this isn't happening in 2014. And again, it shows the criminal justice system was never for us anyway. I mean, that is not a surprise. And the feds, it's even more disappointing because they should have a federal civil rights charge against Darren Wilson. But then they said there's no evidence proving that Darren Wilson killed Michael Brown or create manslaughter against Michael Brown. See, they try to sweep this under the rug, and now they're doing it. And witnesses, and you know what, with the grand jury, ladies and gentlemen, you know they try to block witnesses on, on Mike Brown's behalf, Mike Brown's family's behalf. They're blocking witnesses for testifying against Darren Wilson. They blocked it. That's why you see no indictment against Darren Wilson, because the witnesses that were there that wanted to testify, they were not allowing them in the court. They were not allowed in the courtroom. So you see, this is why I said that there's no justice with Trayvon Martin. There's no justice with Michael Brown. There's no justice with Laquan McDonald, Rakia Boyd, Renisha McBride, Sandra Bland, Sean Bell, Oscar Grant. There's no justice. And see, this is why, ladies and gentlemen, that the criminal justice system was, and again, even would you get a black politician or new attorney or new prosecutor who is black, they still gonna run the same game. They're gonna say, well, even if he was black, they still gonna say, well, there's no evidence proving that that Darren Wilson pulled the trigger on Michael Brown. And witnesses saw everything. And then witnesses said that Michael Brown was shot in the back. Not in the chest, not in the stomach, in the back, which means he ran away from Darren Wilson, not coming towards him. As they said. And they're gonna keep lying about and protecting this officer. And I'm glad that Michael Brown Sr. and Michael Brown's mother don't refuse to talk to the press or refuse to talk to anybody, because they knew that they did them wrong. They did them dirty. So 6 years there, ladies and gentlemen, 6 damn years. And still, just like George Zimmerman with the Trayvon Martin case, they're going to let Darren Wilson walk. And they waited 6 years for this. Unbelievable. Y'all let me know what you think about this. Like, click, subscribe, and remember to click the notification bell for all the news and commentary. With that being said, this is Lions Den signing off. Deuces.